Angry Migtau here, and she will never love you. This is a video that is meant to be a response to Third Fling Monkey's She Will Never Love You video, and I'm going to give you my own take on why a woman will never love you and can never love you. She will never love you because that is not within her nature to do so. Women aren't designed for love, women are designed for consumption. Now, a lot of people will say, Angry, how can you say that? How can you make such a generalized statement about women? I do that a lot, don't I? The truth of the matter is that women, by nature, are simply designed to consume. They are consumers and men are producers. There are two core basics of humanity, which is survival and replication. Men naturally have the advantage when it comes to surviving. Women naturally have the advantage when it comes to replicating because without them, the human race cannot be continued. Now, don't get me wrong, you need both men and women to have babies, but one man can have multiple children with many different women, while only one woman can get pregnant with one child at a time for one man, with the exception of having twins every so often or triplets, which is not normal. The truth is that ultimately, a woman is designed to seek out a man with high survival value, and a man seeks out a woman with high reproductive value. This is the reason why women look at a man's resources and what he can provide and give to them versus a man who looks at a woman's sexual vitality, meaning how young she is and her capacity to produce good offspring and also care for those offspring. There's a reason why men look at the size of a woman's breast as well as the size of a woman's behind. The reason why he looks at the size of a woman's behind is because there is DHA stored in a woman's behind, and DHA is actually linked to brain development. So women who have bigger bottoms tend to have smarter children. Women who have bigger breasts tend to produce more breast milk, and the quality of breast milk is also enhanced. So this means that the children will receive more nutrients, meaning that they'll grow up to be bigger and stronger. This is why a woman's body is very important to the way is a very important when a man is seeking one. Also, he looks at other traits, secondary traits, meaning how she carries herself, how she behaves. Would she be a good mother for children? Is she the type of woman that can care for children? Keep in mind that a man will actually overlook these things initially if she has good physical traits because he figures that she can learn the other things. However, the other things do play a role in deciding whether or not a man ultimately takes a woman as his wife. But again, they are not the major factors and they can be overlooked. A lot of times men do overlook them. Now, when it comes down to men, women are looking for a man who has money and resources, and when it comes to the physical aspect of things, they're looking for a man who may be physically strong. In other words, he has good survival value. He can be a good protector. Now, keep in mind that money in today's society and resources do also amount to survival because you can survive with these things, but and you can also get security, but at the same time women are still attracted to big hulky men because prehistorically big hulky men could also stave off danger and protect them against threats. And it was big hulky men who usually went out and gathered the spoils. So this is the reason why ultimately women look at men who are, fit, handsome. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be extremely handsome, because handsome is an objective thing. There's many different ways to determine what amounts to handsome. Like a chiseled chin, some people would think that's gross. Others would think it's attractive. Some women will find it attractive. Part of it has to do with our genetic makeup and our ancestry, and that determines what we like. Plus, there's also environmental factors, which also make that determination, and the environmental factors could potentially override biology. The point I'm trying to make is that women are looking for men who can provide for them, men are looking for women who can have babies for them. But if women can no longer have babies for men or no longer want to have babies for men, then men no longer will want to be with women. And over time, the man's brain will teach him that it is no longer worth it. What's the point of having sex with this woman if it's only going to lead you to pain and suffering? Now, she will never love you because her brain is only looking for resources to extract from you. Her brain is only telling her to extract wealth, resources, and then to move on to the next one. It's a hypergamy thing. In the animal kingdom, when you look at the female baboons or female monkeys, what they do is the females actually have sex with all the men. That's correct. This female has sex with various different men within a group. Now you'll ask, why in the world would a woman do this? Why would a female baboon do such a thing? It's quite simple. In the animal kingdom, it's not uncommon for the if a woman has children from another animal in the animal kingdom, it is not uncommon for the male to kill the children from her previous husband or well, not husband but previous mate, because he wants to ensure that his genetic material is passed on. Now keep in mind that this behavior only happens up to around the age of 6 months in most animals, but again, babies are killed off by the males. To avoid having their children killed, baboons in the primate kingdom, they have sex with multiple men, multiple different mates. This way, no one can actually tell whose baby it actually is. So the other monkeys will be too afraid, the males will be too afraid to kill off a female's babies in the primate kingdom because they can never really know if it's theirs or not, if it's one male's or another male's. It's basically their way of hiding the paternity. Yeah, crazy, right? Again, this goes back to why she will never love you. She will never love you because at the end of the day, it's all one big game to her. It's a game of gathering resources from males and going from one to the next. This is where the term monkey branching comes from, where a woman is at one male and then she starts monkey branching to another one while she's still with the current one, looking for a better deal. It's a fucked up thing, but it happens all the time. And that's just something you have to consider when you're dealing with women. Women are not simply capable of loving a man the way a man loves a woman. When a man loves a woman, he loves her for who she is. And once he gets to know her, more often than not, he'll begin to overlook the physical aspects and simply accept her personality, rationalizing that he is going to be loyal to her simply because she's with him, and her internal traits become more defined because as time passes, vanity goes. A woman's beauty will pass on, so she simply needs to have good traits that keeps him coming back for more. Now, if a woman's attitude is shitty around the clock, makes his life miserable, as she gets older, it'll only be worse and worse for him. It's like having a broken down old car that you just can't get rid of. So what's going to end up happening eventually, this is what happens with Migtau, is the guy ends up leaving the busted old hoopty at the side of the road and simply goes and gets something better. This is simply what we're seeing more and more of, and it's going to continue going down this road. Ultimately, more and more men are going to find themselves saying, I'm tired of women, I'm tired of relationships, and I'm going my own way. And who can blame them? But keep in mind that part of this reason is because men finally discover, after trial and error, after discovering through pain and suffering, that she never actually loved them to begin with. She loved what they could do for her. She loved what they could provide her with. She loved what they had. She loved the job that they had. She loved the circle that they fell into. She loved the amount of money that they made. She loved the things that she could buy with their money. She loved she loved everything about the man except for the man himself. And God forbid he can no longer provide for her one day. She's going to pick up and leave the bastard. In many cases, a woman will still leave a man even if he hasn't fucked up, even if he's still able to provide for her. She's still looking for reasons to leave him because a lot of time women just want excitement. And I say that word quite clearly because I want you guys to understand it. Women are constantly looking for excitement in their lives. They're constantly looking for reasons to do something different, to move on. And it's a sad and pathetic thing, but it's absolutely true. It is the nature of women. Women are constantly looking for more. They'll never be full. It's up to a man to actually tell a woman to shut up and accept what you have. That's the only way a woman can ever be content, is if a man controls her emotions for her, directs her emotions for her. Why do you think so many women go into the field of psychology? It's because they really don't understand their own emotions and are constantly trying to get a grasp of them, even though they never will. Because emotions are not something a woman can control, they're something that men control. That's the reason why it's also extremely important for women to have a father in their lives. Because without a father in their lives, they'll never learn that society won't put up with their bullshit and other men won't put up with their bullshit. And that's the reason why so many women, when they grow up without a good father, end up going out into society and expecting every man to treat them like a princess. So many girls make a list of describing the ideal man that they want. How many guys do you know that actually make this type of list? Not many. Most guys are simply looking for a girl that looks decent and will suck their dick and make them a sandwich. That's the honest to goodness truth. Women, on the other hand, usually have a laundry list of things, and they believe that they deserve every single thing on that list because other women tell them they do. When in reality, it's absolute bullshit. Think about this. She's overweight, she smells funny, she's broke, she has no education, and she's not very funny. She has a pretty crappy personality, and her credit's bad. But she wants a guy that makes over $100,000 a year, who's handsome, who has a good job, who has a active social life, meaning that she can branch off into his friends, who who will provide her with safety, security, is fit, takes care of himself. I mean, she basically she wants all these things from a man, but she doesn't want to work for any of them herself. And if whenever a guy says that he wants the same things in women, women call him sexist, women call him demanding, women say it's discrimination for a man to not be able to accept women for the way that they are. It's a hilarious concept. It truly is funny when you think about it, because women are complete hypocrites. Women are doing what they've always done, which is trying to get as much as they can out of men. The problem is that we failed the shit test this time around. Our generation of our forefathers, our fathers, I should say, fathers and grandfathers, when you go back about 50 or 60 years ago, and the women started to act up, the men were supposed to spank them and discipline them. But instead of doing that, the men did nothing. They allowed the women to have their way. And by allowing the women to have their way, the women ran wild. And they began pushing from one thing to another, demanding more and more and more. And instead of the men correcting them at some point, they didn't do anything as such. They allowed them to continue running wild and figured that the next generation of men would simply deal with it. The next generation of men would fix it. Just like the economy. And what we're seeing with our current generation of politicians pushing on the buck to the next generation, using accounting tricks to say that, okay, well, we don't have to pay for this right now. So the people 10 years down the line, or 20 or 50 years later, will have to deal with this $10 billion that we've just written off. And there you have it. That's how it's working. They basically push the buck down the line, and they figured that our generation would have to deal with the nastiness of the daughters and the women that they were allowing to run wild. And now we're suffering as a result of it. At the end of the day, women have to be controlled. Women have to be guided, or else they run completely wild and do what they want to do and say whatever they want to say. Women don't really have the capacity to think to think outside of the box, to be rational and logic. That's something that only a man can provide to them. That's a structure that only a man can provide to a woman. Let me know if you agree in the comment section, if ultimately she will never love you because she's not able to love you. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, and if you like the video, share the video, and just remember that all roads lead to Migtau, or death. Hey guys, just remember that if you have a video request and a topic you'd like me to discuss,
You can send me a donation with your topic by visiting my homepage, clicking on the PayPal link.